वेलकम टू द ग्रेवॉल शो। मैं ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਹੋਸਟ ਗੁਰਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਗ੍ਰੇਵਾਲ। ਆਪ ਸਭ ਨੂੰ ਸਤਿ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ। ਅੱਜ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ ਮਾਰਟਿਨ ਮੈਡੇਰੋਸ, ਰੀਜਨਲ ਕਾਉਂਸਲਰਸ ਅਵਾਰਡਸ 3 ਐਂਡ 4 ਸਿਟੀ ਆਫ ਬ੍ਰੈਂਪਟਨ। ਇਹ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਸਕਾਈਪ ਰਾਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ। ਮਿਸਟਰ ਮੈਡੇਰੋਸ, ਵੈਲਕਮ ਟੂ ਦ ਗ੍ਰੇਵਾਲ ਸ਼ੋ।
Thank you, Mr. Grewalz. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Well, we are always thankful anytime any politician comes on our show because our viewers have so many questions for all the politicians. So thank you for your time and that you make yourself available to come on the Grewalz show.
Thank you.
Mr. Medeiros, there's a big issue going on nowadays with the COVID-19. You're the regional counselors. Based on your experience and your expertise, what do you think is going to be happening with COVID-19 and in the region of Peel, especially city of Brampton?
Well, I think right now we see the numbers, and the Premier has come out and talked about how Peel region, Ottawa, and Toronto, that they might have to take back some of the social distancing measures. Mm-hmm. And certainly our Mayor, Patrick Brown, has been very vocal about some of the supports that we need right now in the Peel region, especially in the city of Brampton. It's not our numbers are higher than others, and certainly it's frustrating for us when you hear how people are getting these cases. One is, as we know, social interaction. So large parties or social gatherings at home. We understand as well our proximity to the airport. That also is an issue, and we've been working with the federal government to try to sort of help us with an intervention because that's an issue as well.
So now, based on your experience, because you're the regional counselor, do you think these numbers are going up because of the flights coming into Pearson Airport?
Well, I wouldn't say that they're just about the flights. I think it's a combination of several things. And our Mayor Brown has been very vocal about this. So one, you think about our trucking industry. So we have one of the largest trucking industries in Canada. And people sometimes forget this, that to get those essential goods, to get those products on the supermarkets and to get the goods that people want, majority of that industry is right here in Brampton. So they're doing a service, traveling to the United States, going over the border to bring back these essential goods. So certainly the trucking industry, we noticed that there are cases happening there. Also, we talked about here in Brampton, we have multi-generational homes, or you would say many people in a home. Sometimes I hear it's students or youth or whatever it is that we have many people in a home. And one of the challenges that you have, and we asked this at last regional council, is a school like Sheridan College or others. If one student who lives in one of these sort of homes where there's a lot of students in there, how are they isolating if they have COVID? They don't have the possibility to isolate. So we've asked the schools to develop their plans, and I know they're in contact with Peel Region's Public Health. But that is an issue in terms of how it's being spread. But also, I think lastly is the social gathering. I think that's a huge issue here in Brampton. You see it in the parking lots, you see it in the plazas, you hear weddings and parties. And so, as much as our bylaw officers are out there enforcing it, people don't seem to be afraid enough. And it's frustrating because you have a majority of probably 99% of Brantonians who are really following the guidelines and measures by our Dr. Lowe, who's our Peel's medical officer. And then you have others who are not paying attention to anything.
Now, when we're talking about weddings or big events, have you or your Mayor Brown attended any of these weddings or these big events in Brampton?
Yeah, I can't speak for Mayor Brown. I know he's a busy man. I myself have not attended any weddings or large gatherings. I deal with a little bit of high blood pressure, so I have to be extra careful. And also, I haven't had, being a counselor, you don't get the same invitations as the mayor. The mayor, I know, it gets more pressure to be invited everywhere, and I know weddings is a part of it and stuff. But I can't speak to the fact. As far as I know, I don't know who's attended anything, but that's probably up to him to answer.
Now, when we're talking about the housing issue, like lots of people living in housing, you're aware that you're a regional councillor for several years in the city of Brampton. Have
Yes.
you ever come up with this question to the city that there is a housing crisis?
Yeah, we deal with it, and since I've been elected in 2014, and I'm actually the chair of human services at the region, so we know housing is a huge issue in Peel region, especially in Brampton. You have 1.75 vacancy rate, so that means we have almost a tsunami. So let me tell you about several different measures and issues that are impacting Brampton. So one, we know that Brampton is underfunded when it comes to health.
Okay.
So our health system, hospitals, and right now you're starting to see it reflected. COVID puts pressure on the system to start seeing what holes are in the health system in the local sort of network. And certainly Brampton, we're underfunded. So that's one. Second, the housing crisis. When the province tells us to grow every year by a certain number, so it's not the city of Brampton that chooses. So we receive 28 people per day that choose Brampton to live, because that's under the Places to Grow legislation by the province. So we have 28 new people that choose Brampton, or sorry, not 28, 38. 38 people,
Every
so
day.
around 20,000 a year. Then when you think about, obviously our proximity to the airport, so many people come from different parts of the country, different parts of the world. Brampton is a place that a lot of them come for various reasons, cultural reasons, close to home. I'm myself, for example, Portuguese background. And in the 60s and 70s, all the Portuguese community also similar, lived in basement apartments. My parents lived in a basement apartment, so they saved enough to go to the house. That is sort of the process that's happened. Right now, what you're seeing, because of, I guess, especially post-secondary education, private colleges especially, so you have a lot of international students who come over, and I'm not blaming international students, but there are areas in that I represent, Sheridan College, other aspects of on Brampton South, and other aspects of throughout the city, where you'll have, what we've seen is 8 to 10 students in one home. And as much as we go as bylaw officers, and I'll talk about the issues regarding enforcement, but these kids who come over, they go to schools that sometimes are not even here in Brampton. There are buses that come to Shoppers World and other places to pick up these students and take them to these private colleges. So the province is the one who legislates and provides a regulatory framework for a lot of these private colleges. And I would suggest to you some of these private colleges are suspect at best. And the federal government gives the student visas. So you have on one end, the province giving the colleges, recognizing these colleges. You have the federal government giving the student visas. And we at the municipality are dealing with the large population growth and all these people who come in, and we're not getting the support that we feel financially to deal with everything.
So
Because
Martin,
the city of Brampton, for example,
So
Yeah.
as I was going to say, so this is the problem we all know about. What have you done or your council has done to fix this problem?
so we've actually, since I've been on council in 2015, we must almost triple the budget that we've done in bylaw in terms of investing and investigating it. So let me get you to the enforcement aspect. If you were to tell me today that your neighbor is illegally renting out his basement apartment, by the time, because we don't have a thing called right of entry. So we
Okay.
have to knock on the door if they allow us to come inside. But this is provincial legislation, and we have right of entry similar to police, where you need a warrant. To get a warrant from the courts is very difficult. It could take up 2 years. You need sufficient evidence. By the time you get that, okay, and then you go in, you get right of entry, you see the home, you do your investigation, you put it in. There's a backlog in the courts. So by the time we give a fine to the homeowner first, we sometimes to track it down is difficult. Second, the homeowner to pay a fine of $5,000. That year, 2 years for investigating it, he's made enough money. And by the time he gets prosecuted, he goes into the courts, simply moves those students or moves those people, and they go somewhere else.
So
So
are you
here
saying
we
that
are.
the process which we have isn't working?
I would say that it's frustrating, and I would say that it's a combination of various things. Like you suggested from the first thing, is that we need more housing product at the City of Brampton. So one of the issues as the chair of planning that we encounter, whenever we want to build infill, condominiums, townhouses, everyone in their homes are up in arms. Every community is up in arms because they're saying, why is it over here? And I understand. I wouldn't want it beside me. I wouldn't. Everyone who has a home or so on, they have their nice little neighborhood. But right now, we need to build more density. So we have to build up. Whenever we build this high rise, because there's not enough product out there. Then when you talk about social housing, because if you look at Peel poverty analysis, the United Way did analysis. Brampton, for example, has a high level of folks who are just under what they call the poverty line.
Yes.
And so a lot of people do need access to social housing. So when we look at sort of all these conditions, and I talked at the beginning, there's a tsunami of situations that's happening here at the City of Brampton. It's difficult because our population growth is through the roof. Our lack of housing is, and that sort of reflection over the last 20 years, the type of product we built here in Brampton. So instead of having, double garage, single detached units, we really had to now get into more density, smaller product, and affordable. So that's the mix that we're looking for at the City of Brampton. And you don't do that overnight. One of the issues is builders that come to the City of Brampton, it's cost the exact same money to build here in Brampton as in the City of Toronto. Exact same money. The land is different. The land value is different. But to incentivize folks to come in, and that's why we've been aggressive in trying to attract that type of investment.
Well,
but, lastly,
Martin,
what I would suggest to you,
Martin,
one
we
of the
have to go for a
challenges we
small
have
break.
is... Yep.
So when we come back, we will deal with this issue, and we'll also talk about policing and enforcement in the City of Brampton. Keep on watching the Grewalz Show. You're watching my show with Martin Medeiros, Regional Councillor. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Grewalz Show. आज मेरे नाल मेरे शो दे उप्पर पहुंचे हैं Martin Medeiros, Regional Councillors, Wards 3 and 4, City of Brampton. Mr. Medeiros, welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much.
So as we were talking, so what do you think is going to work with the housing issue in Brampton?
Well, what we're doing at the City of Brampton is exactly what you said. What are we doing about it? And since I become chair of planning, really we're trying to ensure that our processes are faster, because we understand when people are ready to invest, if it's difficult to invest in the City of Brampton, they will just take their money somewhere else. Right now we're competing with neighboring municipalities. So we benchmarked, and we've actually doing a review of our official plan. And I would sort of challenge anyone now, as of today, to find where they can invest their money in building to ensure that they're building the type of product we need in the City of Brampton. So we're looking at more incentives for people to build high-rise in the City of Brampton, especially our downtown area. Looking to, and we have a lot of projects that are coming down the pipe. Shoppers World is going to be redeveloped, and we're looking at around 10 apartment buildings there, 5 condos and 5 apartment buildings. Every time we're receiving more applications. Queen Street corridor, that's going to be an exciting area because we've attracted a lot of interest and investment as that is a highest speed corridor. So people have to get used to the fact that City of Brampton is really growing, and we're really developing and building that density. That brings other challenges with it. As we bring more people, as we deal with the crisis around housing, which is impacting our COVID numbers, and certainly our healthcare is another area which we really have to address. We're doing sort of our part. I know we can still do more to ensure that when people invest in Brampton, that we're giving them the right attention that they deserve, that their processes are fast and quick, but we're ensuring that these are good products for the environment and the neighborhood here in the City of Brampton.
So now let's talk about enforcement and policing in Brampton. As you're aware, anybody and everybody is concerned about policing and enforcement. Your ward has Sheridan College as part of your ward. And next to Sheridan College, there's a plaza where there's a huge problem with policing and issues coming along. Have you ever attended and met with the people in that plaza?
Well, I've attended personally because I actually live very close there, and I drive through. I have not confronted any of them. I've worked with Peel Regional Police and our bylaw officers to really target the plaza. So I can't get into specifics, but I could tell you as of 8 months to a year, we've already noticed certain issues in the plazas. And with COVID that came after the first month, there was a lot of social media attention to one of the plazas that you're referring to. So as a result, working with Peel Regional Police, we developed a specific strategy for Sheridan Plaza. And also, we've reached out to the owners several times to have them work with us and with security. But I will say that one of the challenges that we have is that it's almost like little fires. Whenever you focus on one fire and you put that fire down, another part of the city or another part of the ward, there's other fires. And one of the challenges that we're having right now, I hear, for example, people are telling me about noise of cars. There's a car racing all over different parts of my ward. So I know through neighborhoods, a lot of speeding happening through the neighborhood. So that's why we put in a lot of cameras. I know police keep telling us that their resources, they're underfunded, and we've at the Peel region have increased their funding on an annual basis since I've been a councillor. And I'm actually going to be joining the Police Services Board as of January this upcoming year. So I look forward to providing direct input into it. And one of the challenges that we have as well, I just attended a meeting, for example, the other day at a park where there was suspected drug use. And one thing which I was really satisfied and really proud of is that the neighbors came together and to come and discuss that there was drug use in the park. So in conjunction with Peel Police, in conjunction with the neighborhood, and there's interest in creating a neighborhood watch. So that's what we're trying to do. And then the city of Brampton is also doing their part in developing the community safety programs, which is required now by the federal government. So we're doing our part in terms of trying to work with the community. We invest in legal services, enforcement, but we have to look at it as a social issue as well, is programming for youth, education, and looking at the supports they have. It's kind of frustrating during COVID because I know we're limited in the type of support that we can provide them. But that is a huge issue, and it's not. There's no magic answer or magic bullet. It's almost that you have to continue to be vigilant. You have to continue to provide programs and work with, for example, some of the places I found which have been amazing in supporting the community and reducing crime have been the Grewalz, have been the temples, the churches, have been sort of non-institutions who've stepped up and really provided the community support. So that's kind of in the neighborhood themselves and residents coming forward, working with us. That's been so important.
So when we talk about the neighborhood watch, back in the days, I'm talking about 15, 20 years ago, City of Brampton used to fund that. If there is a neighborhood watch program set up today, is the City of Brampton funding that?
So what the City of Brampton is doing, we funded a third-party agency or a third-party organization called Brampton Focus, and we gave them a contract last year because we felt that there was a void, and they're the ones who run Neighborhood Watch. So I can tell you, for example, they'll come into a community, they'll bring in, for example, they'll get the community contacts being shared, they'll help them set that up, but they have limited capacity. So actually, just as of Wednesday at Council, Councillor Palashi and with the all support of Council was that we put in a community program initiative, which was that we're going to work with our staff who are responsible for nurturing communities and neighborhoods, and those who are responsible for the community safety. And we're going to be developing tailored plans in different areas. And Neighborhood Watch, we're looking to bring back in-house. Instead of funding a third party, possibly the City of Brampton, either we're going to provide more funding to an organization who can really support the community, or we're going to be doing it directly. So for example, in my case, I'm helping a small community who wants to set up Neighborhood Watch, and I'm more than happy to fund them directly through my own account that I have at the City of Brampton, and I'll be helping them individually, but it's not a citywide program. And I do think that the city has to sort of take this on again.
So when the Brampton Focus was given the contract for this, there was a big uproar how the contract was given. So why is the contract still being looked at that it could be renewed or they could be given more money?
So right now at council, because exactly, as when we made the decision, they were doing a lot of work on neighborhood watch. So they've established the contacts. They had many years of working in the community. So we gave them a 1-year contract, and we're actually evaluating that contract now. It's coming back to council. We're waiting to see if they met the metrics, to see what bang for the buck did we get. Right now, there is a void at the city of Brampton, as before. If you remember, before I even came on council, there was what they called Safe City. Safe City was there for many years, but there was some financial issues which led to us stopping funding to Safe City Brampton. So many years that we sort of created a community safety committee, and right now it's being chaired by one of our fellow councillors. But the effectiveness of this committee in terms of supporting the community hasn't, in my personal opinion, hasn't been the best. And so when we funded the Neighborhood Watch as of last year, it's because there was nothing really around. And we said, let's fund it. I think it was around $150,000 to see, because I witnessed the work that they did, and I believe that they do good work. And now our staff is evaluating it. And I think in 2 weeks, we have a report coming to council to see how effective has it been.
Now, when we talk about the Sheridan Plaza, the international students being in that plaza, the police issues, is there anything specific being done by the region itself or by the city to curb the violence in that plaza?
Well, again, so first there's a couple of things. One, we're talking about private property because there's a property owner, and we've reached out to the property owner to let us know, to let him know about our concerns. Second, Peel Police have the lead in addressing some of the behaviors in the plaza. So there's been a lot of, I would say, innuendos, rumors of what happens there. I've never witnessed anything personally, be it drug use or whatever is there, but I know social gatherings, especially during COVID, was a big issue. So our bylaw officers and police, as I said, have developed a specific strategy for the plaza, in which one I can't reveal now, but Peel Police, not sure if they're willing to comment on. But in terms of the city and the region and what we've done, so I've reached out personally to Sheridan College, to sort of neighboring institutions and organizations to see how we can sort of support them. One of the frustrations is that as much as we say they're international students, we can't brush everybody with that sort of name, because I can't say today that everyone who is in the parking lot are international students. There are some that we hear, and maybe people in the community know better than me, but I don't have proof as of today that these are all international students.
Well, Mr. Medeiros, our show is coming to an end. What would you like to say to the viewers, and how can they connect?
Well, I would just say that again, that people remain vigilant. Please follow the guidelines. Wear masks and social distance. As we see, numbers are going up. This is a very concerning time. Regarding crime, if you do witness anything, please call the police at their non-emergency number, unless you think it's an emergency. If you report it, we hear it. Feel free to contact my office if you're in Wards 3 and 4, or any your respective counselors. I thank you very much, Mr. Grewalz, for the opportunity.
Take care, Mr. Medeiros.
Thank you very much.
You've been watching The Grewalz Show. Keep on watching it on Punjab Star TV, on YouTube. Google The Grewalz Show. Let us know who you want us to bring in our studio to ask your questions. Until next time, Sat Sri Akal.